Welcome to all of you. Okay, in this period we are discuss about the materials. Okay, and the materials also metallic material and non-metallic materials. Okay, here everyone are familiar with material. We know that iron, aluminium, copper, and maximum materials in our surrounding. Okay, here some object and some materials means here iron, coal, sulfur, aluminium, sodium. Okay, that all maximum when we are comparing the metals or materials, maximum materials are hard in nature, some are soft in nature. Okay, some are shiny, few are dull. Okay, means hardness, very hardness, that all things here are. Okay, you can classify it 4.1. Okay, okay, here you can, you know that things. Can you name the materials which are metals? Write down in comments any five metals. Those you know ornaments are made up from the which materials? Our cooking pan. Okay, you know that. Yes, very good. In our kitchen, maximum materials are made up from. Write in comment. The rest of the materials in table 4.1 are non-metals. Okay, metals can be distinct from the non-metal on the basis of their physical and chemical properties. Okay, how we can differentiate? Okay, in the class we know that the brighter student and the dull student, we are easily differentiate. How we can asking the questions? Okay, on the asking the questions we are easily differentiate who is the clever, who is the dull. Okay, means here when we want to differentiate the metals, how we can check it is metal, it is non-metal? Okay, we are finding their properties. When we want to differentiate the metal and non-metal, we are studying their physical and chemical property, and on the basis of physical and chemical property we are easily differentiate metal and non-metals. Okay, firstly the physical property of the metals and the non-metals. Okay, here it is very easy to differentiate the metal and non-metal. Have you ever seen a blacksmith beating an iron piece or an article made up of iron like a spade, okay, shovel, axe, an axe? We know that. Do you find a change in the shape of that articles after the beating or on the beating? Before the beating? Okay, before the beating of the blacksmith there is the one ball of the iron. After the beating there is the change in that material, change in that ball, and that ball is converted into article. Would you expect a similar change if you trying to beat a piece of a coal? Is it possible? When we are beating on the coal, Okay, when we are beating on the bricks we are using to build, is it possible? No. Why? Because of their property. Here one activity is here. Take a small iron nail, a cold piece, okay, a piece of a thick aluminum wire, and a pencil lead. We know the pencil lead, and beat the iron nail with the hammer. Here, show in figure. Check like this. We are beating on the nails. Okay, the aluminum wire also. Then repeat the same kind of the treatment on the coal, on the pencil lead, okay, and record the change, malleability of a material, okay. Change in a place. Two types of, when we are hammering, when we are beating on the nails, two type of changes also in materials, two type of changes on in that articles, okay. First is flatten and next is break. When we are beating on nail, iron nail, it is a flatter, okay. That iron nail flatter on the beating, okay. Coal piece, when we are beating on coal piece, it is break down into small pieces, okay. When we are applying the force on that coal piece. Aluminum wire is flatter. Pencil lead, it is a breaking and broken into pieces, converted into powder, okay. Here means, and that property it is called the malleability of the metals. You saw that the shape of a iron nail and aluminum wire change on beating, okay, change on beating, and the aluminum wire, okay, and the iron after the beating they are flatter, means that is the change in their physical state, change in they are physically changed. If they were beaten harder, okay, this would be a change into a sheet, okay, change into a sheet. You might be familiar with a silver foil used for a decorating sweets. You must also be familiar with aluminum foil used for wrapping a food, and the property of metal by which they can be beaten into the thin sheet, it is called malleability. Malleability means what? The metal also changes into a thin sheet, and that property is called malleability. That is the physical property of the metal. This is a characteristic property of the metal, as you must have noticed. Material like a coal and pencil lead do not show this property. Is it possible to show the property malleability in pencil? No. There is a coal and a pencil lead do not showing the property. When we are hammering the coal, hammering on the coal, hammering on the pencil, beating on the pencil, beating on the coal, that was broken, that was not converted into sheet. But the iron nails, aluminum wire, when we beating on that, they are converted into sheet, okay. And that's why the iron nails and the aluminum are called as these are the metals, Okay, and the coal and pencil. Okay, that are the coal is the non-metal. Can you hold a hot metallic pan which is without a plastic or a wooden handle? Yes, it is possible. And not get hot? Perhaps not. Why? Try to list some other experience in which a wooden or a plastic handle protect you from being hot while handling hot things. Yes, we know that every pan also having handle, and that was made up from the plastic and wood. Yes, on the basis of this experience, what can you say about the conduction of heat by wood and plastic? You must have seen an electrician using a screwdriver. Okay, what kind of a handle does it have and why? What is the answer of this? Okay, can you? Activity 4.2. Recall how to make an electric circuit to test whether electricity can pass through a object or not. Okay, you might have performed. Check out 4.2. Here, the activity. Okay, the activity with a various object in a class. Now repeat the activity with the materials mentioned in a table 4.3. Observe a group of these materials into a good conductor and a poor conductor. First material, iron rod, nail, or sulfur, coal piece, copper, good conductor or poor conductor. You observe that iron rod, nail, copper, wire are a good conductor of heat, while rolling a sulfur piece, okay, and coal piece, they are a poor conductor of electricity or heat. Where do you find the use of aluminum and copper wire? Have you seen a wire of a coal? Definitely not. We are not seeing the wire of a coal. Okay, the property of metals by which it can be drawn into a wire is called ductility. Okay, from the ball of the nails, from the ball of aluminium, we make a wire, and that property is called ductility. Have you ever noticed the difference in a sound on dropping an iron sheet plate, a metal coin, and a piece of coal on the floor? If not, you can try to it now. Can you check? Take a coin and throw on the floor. It creates a sound. Do you note any difference in the sound produced of the different metals when you are using glass? Okay, it is also having different sound. Plastic glass also having different sound. Don't use a glass. Okay, yes, when you are using a glass, it is broken into pieces. It is harmful to you. That's why you can use a stainless steel glass. Okay, yes. Here, a third one. Have you seen a wooden bell in a temple? There is wooden bell in temple. Is it use of any wooden bell? No, there is no use of wooden bell, because bell is using for the purpose of sound. But when we are using a wood, there is no creation of the sound. Okay? You know the reason of behind it? The things made up of metal produce a ringing sound when stuck hard. Okay, when the metal also, when we are stuck to the metal, when we are through any metal on the floor, it creates a sound. Why? Suppose you have a two box similar in the appearance, a one made of a wooden and other made of a metal. Can you tell which box is made up of a metal by stucking with the both striking the box? Yes, we are easily identifying which box is wooden and which is made up from the metals. After the performing the above activity, you can say that some materials are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, and good conductor of heat and electricity. The materials which generally passes the property are called metals, and example of the metals are iron, copper, aluminium, calcium, magnesium, and so on. The contact material like a coal and sulfur are soft. Coal and sulfur are soft material and dull in appearance. They break down into a powdery mass on a tapping with a hammer. They are not sonorous and are poor conductor of heat and electricity. Are such materials. These materials are called non-metals, and the example of the non-metals are sulfur, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, etc. Okay. Metal like sodium, potassium, they are soft, they are not hard, can be cut with a knife. A mercury is the only metal which is found in a liquid state at a room temperature. This is the exceptions. Okay, the chemical property of the metals and non-metals. Okay, now we are stop here. The chemical property of the metals and non-metals we are study in a next period. Okay.